Hey guys, welcome back. Sorry I've been out of the game for a long time. All of September, I was down shooting our aerial gunnery. That's generally the month that we do it. So unfortunately, I missed most of the moose rut. I kind of had chalked up 2020 just to an L. I didn't think I was going to get any moose photography. Luckily enough, I have some good buddies down in South Central Alaska who reached out and said, "Hey man, we got a good bead on some really impressive bull moose. If you're willing to make the drive down here, we'll get you on them." So I took him up on it. I headed down south, South Central Alaska, and ended up getting those vectors to find these bull moose. They were kind enough to share that with me. Something else I want to talk to you guys about is just being responsible on social media in the sense of I've been noticing a lot that people are tagging their secret locations, and what that's doing is there's people on Instagram just continuously trolling for those spots. And once they find it, they tell their buddies, and then before you know it, your secret spot's no longer secret. So big shout out to Jamin and Jerry. I'll throw their links in so you guys can go check out their amazing work. They're far better photographers than I could hope to be. But they hooked me up with this spot. It turned out to be just an incredible experience that I'm really excited to share with you guys. I also want to talk a little bit about exposing in the snow, um, and what your camera sensor is looking to do with that 18% gray, and how that can throw off your entire set of images if you're not cognizant of it while you're shooting. But kind of give you a backstory. The issue is I didn't vlog while I was down there out of respect for the guys who shared that spot with me. Where I was, there was some pretty noticeable ridge lines, pretty, like I said, distinguishable landmarks that I didn't want people to pick up on and end up taking that spot and ruining it for those guys. So I took some up close and personal video of the moose, and took some great pictures of them that I'm really excited with. I can't wait to share with you guys. But to paint the picture with you guys, where I was at was in the valley of these two incredibly tall ridge lines. Beautiful place. About 5 miles back along this trail, and then down across the valley floor where you had to fjord this little river, and then on the backside, that back ridge line is where these moose were hanging out. So I ended up hiking out there. Weather, it was sitting right around 28 degrees, no wind. We did experience a little bit of snow later in the day, but walking out there was just perfect conditions. I did want to show you guys these boots that I've been running. Obviously, it's not sponsored. I just really think you guys could get good use out of these. They're the Muck Company Arctic Sport boots, waterproof all the way through, like 24 inches of length, warm, rated down to -40. Although I necessarily wouldn't recommend them anything below -20. Above 20 degrees Fahrenheit, your feet sweat and they get cold, and below -20, the insulation's just not sufficient. But if you're looking for a good all-around boot to get out there and work this winter, I highly recommend those Arctic Sport Muck boots. Completely off topic, but also looking for recommendations from you guys on a good backpack. I've been running the low pro, whatever it is, 650 all weather, and it's just cumbersome. It's large, it's awkward, carries everything I need, but it's not something I'm in love with. So if you guys know any good bag that can carry a 600 millimeter, throw it below, because I'm in desperate need of a good long lens camera bag. But so we hike out there, cross down below the fjord, up on the backside of the fjord, the river, back on the backside of that ridge, and I get up on this moose. And he was just exhausted from the rut. They're kind of spinning down from the rut. Generally runs from September into October, and post mid-October, they're kind of just recuperating from that crazy month. So he was really accepting of me. He was calm. I didn't seem to be bothering him too much, and I noticed that because he actually at one point bedded down, closed his eyes, and completely fell asleep. And I had to have been within 20 feet of him or so. So yeah, I'm really excited to roll this footage and show you guys some of these pictures. And afterwards, we'll talk a little bit about exposing in the snow, and what you're looking to do. So without further ado, guys, enjoy. All right, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like I said, one of the most incredible bull moose experiences I've had since I've been doing wildlife photography. All thanks to those guys who really helped me out, Jerry and Jamin. You guys are a lifesaver. I really appreciate you guys saving my 2020 season. Um, but so when I was out there, it was actually really challenging light conditions. The issue was, like I was talking about earlier, with the ridge lines and the sun and the shade and trying to get a good exposure with the dark moose and the really white snow. So what your camera sensor is trying to do when you're exposing, it's trying to make everything 18% gray, right? So that's your sensor's, the meter's goal is to make the sensor what it's seeing 18% gray. So if you take a picture of a completely white slate, it's actually going to be 18% gray. Skin tones, blues, yellows, reds, it doesn't matter, 18% gray. So if you're exposing properly for what you're seeing on your camera meter, all of your images are going to be underexposed, especially if you're shooting a large animal like a moose, a big dark moose, or a big elk, or even a whitetail. Sometimes it's going to throw your meter way off. So what I was doing is I wasn't using spot meter. I was using matrix meter for Nikon. What that does is that kind of takes the entire scene and gives you a best overall meter. So along with that, I was also using exposure compensation, and I was underexposing. I'm sorry, overexposing about a third of a stop on each of my images, because what I know about the D850 is if I use the meter that it's giving me the reading on a snowy image, they're going to be, like I said, about a third of a stop underexposed. So what you need to be doing is not necessarily exposing for the snow or the dark part of the animal, but getting that matrix meter, that overall meter from the scene, and then really dialing it in with some exposure compensation. So just keep that in mind when you go out there to do some winter photography this season, that if you're getting underexposed images, that your sensor and your meter are trying to make everything gray. So let's say you're shooting at, 500th of a second, and it's not a fast moving animal, slow that shutter speed down to 250th, get that extra stop of light, or, use your ISO, bump it up, double it to get that extra stop, or, you can even open up your aperture if you got a fast enough lens. But that's the biggest flaw I see in winter photography, are these really highly underexposed gray whites. You want your whites to be really crispy, and I'm guilty of it too. I got to always constantly remind myself that that 18% gray rule is in effect. But I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be talking about photography again, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, throw those comments and below on any of those camera bags that you can recommend. And hey, I look forward to spending more time with you guys this winter, and hope you guys learned something, enjoyed it. Cheers.